Hey and welcome, I'm Solo and this is ZN Gaming. In this video, I'll be going over how to add a border to your webcam fast and easy. Before I waste any more time, let's jump into it. In this example, I will be assuming that you already have a web camera added to your OBS and know how to use it. If you don't know how, I do have a video covering how to add and set up the camera for your first time in OBS. I will make sure to leave a link to that in the description below. That being said, this is going to be a very simple example and it's not going to be anything super fancy or animated. If you're interested in a more advanced overlay for your camera, get subscribed so you don't miss it. Again, for this here example, I'm going to assume that you're fairly new and you're going to have a main scene that's going to just have your game and your camera. This is just one of the most common ways people usually set up their scenes. So from this here point, for us to get started, what we want to do is add a scene. For us, we're just going to go down here, click the plus. We're going to add a new scene and we're going to name it camera. Click OK. Now, if you've added a camera before, you'll already know how to add it here. But if it's your first time, you just got to click the plus in the sources. In this here new camera scene, we're just going to click the plus. And a camera is going to be added as a video capture device. So we're just going to click the video capture device. Where we already have one, we can select the existing camera. That's what we're going to do for this one here. And click OK. Now, if you just added it for your first time, you're going to see this here devices. You're going to be able to select the webcam. You want to make sure that you select this here deactivate when not showing and scroll down here. I like to go with custom. Make sure my resolution is 1920 by 1080. Use the highest FPS and then just click OK. That should give you the best results. Now, what we want to do is we don't want this here to be the full size. We want to just make it a little bit smaller. Sorry about the cat hair there, imagine. We want to make it a little bit smaller. Now, we're not going to really have it centered right away, so we're just going to just leave it here. We're going to right click it. We can go down here to transform, and we can go all the way here to either center to screen or center vertical or horizontal. But we want to make it a little bit smaller than the scene, and we're just going to leave it like that for now. Now, if you just want to do this here with just OBS, no downloads, no BS, nothing at all, we can go here and we can click the add source. We can go down here to this here color source. For something basic, we can just add this here. We're just going to leave it as color source. And then in here, we're going to be able to select any color that we want. Once you find a desired color, we're just going to click OK and click OK again. Now again, this is going to be 1920 by 1080. We're going to turn our camera on and we want to make sure that we move a color source underneath our camera. If we don't, we're not going to be able to see our camera. So once we move it, we'll see our camera. We're going to see that the border is still quite a bit different of a size. We'll fix that here in a minute. Now to get the border perfect is really hard. We're just going to change this here down to a size that we think is going to be close. We're going to right click on it here, go to transform, and it's the same thing. We're just going to center to the screen. And we can see that here it's a little bit off. We're going to change it just a tiny bit more. And the same thing again, just right click it, go to transform, and then just center to the screen. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Now it's going to be a little bit off here, side to side. If you do not want that, you can press and hold the Alt button on your keyboard. So if you press Alt, hold it, then click this here red button here, this here red toggle, and just pull it in a little bit. You can change the aspect ratio just a little bit. So if you're a little bit picky, you can scroll these here sides in. Still holding Alt, we're still holding Alt. And then we'll size it into where we like it. We'll be able to see that it's off here. It's 263. And it's 266, so there we go. And just one more time for good measure, we're just going to make sure that this here is center to screen. Now it's off just 1 pixel up and down. That's fine for me. I think this here is okay. And there we go. That's a basic one done. We can just leave it like that there. And there we go. We have a basic one set up. Now we're just going to go back here to scenes. And from here, we're going to remove our camera. We want to remove this one here because we no longer need our camera in this here scene. We're going to add it back here in a second. I'll show you how. We're just going to click the delete first on the garbage can. Do you want to remove this? Yes. Now to add this here camera source over here, we're going to click the plus and we're going to go down here to scene. All we're going to need to do is just select our camera scene here. Now this is just going to be the same thing, except for this here is going to be our scene instead of our camera. So this is going to just allow us to move it around the way that we want. So now it's going to have the border around it. This is just going to make it easier for us to edit the camera without us making any other changes to the scene. So if you want to change like Christmas, or if you want to add other things, you'll just be able to go and change it in the camera scene. So for example, once you get a place here where you like it, find it where you're going to have it pretty close to where you had it before. If you want to make sure you line it up before you remove the old one, that's a good thing to do. So if you're following along, you can add this one here into the same spot, make sure it's the same size as the last one before you remove the last one. I never thought about that before removing it because I find it easy just to place it wherever I want. If I wanted it a little closer, it's just pretty easy for me to move it around. I'm not really picky where my camera is. After it's edited and you have the basic border set up. Now there's a lot of other ways that you can add borders. We just use the color, but if you want to add other things, you can go into the camera source here. We're just going to hide the camera. We only have this here red color source, but we actually have some other things. If we want to add something else in here, we can click on the plus, go to an image. We can just add anything. We can call this one here Christmas. Xmas border. We can just click the browse and find the file, locate the image that we're looking for, and then click OK. And there we go. That's as easy as it is to add another border. Then we can size this here border down so that it can fit over top of our palette here. Now I'll show you why this is super awesome. We can just put this in here like this here, and we don't have to move anything. So our camera is going to show up. After you have it added, you can click the camera to show up just to see if you have it added. And there you go. You have one here where now you can turn these here off or turn them on. You don't have to remove them. I usually like to put it underneath my source, but this here overlay can go over the corners, and your color source can always act as your background. So if you turn these here all on and go to the main source, now your main source is going to have this. Now you're going to see the red corners if you don't turn it off. So you can go back to the camera source, turn off the color source just by clicking there, and there you go. There's a Christmas one, and it's easy to change it back as just turning them off and on and going back. And there you go. That's as easy as it is. Now there is other things in here that you can add. You can also add a browser source. So when you click the plus, you can open the browser sources and click OK. Now there's a lot of different browser sources that you can add, but one I like to go to is the Neon Webcam Overlays by Stream Elements. So if you go over to streamelements.com, I'll make sure to leave a link to this here theme in the description below, but all you're going to have to do is click on the use this theme package, and it's going to add all these here themes. So if you click this here use theme, it'll go through the saving. It's going to load up with all these here neon colored signs. All you're going to need to do is just copy the URL. This is going to be the easiest way to add it to your OBS, and from here you can just paste your URL and change it to 1920 by 1080. I suggest always making it 1920 by 1080 if you're using that for your camera size. If you're using a different dimension, use the different dimension. Scroll down here and shut down the source when not visible, and refresh the browser source when it becomes active again, and then click OK. Now this is going to add the border here. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we grab this here one. We'll hide everything here 1 second. And once you place it where you like it, there you go. Once you go back to your main scene, it will be all updated on your main scene. So that's just something I found very easy. So there's a way to there's an animated one. I know this wasn't meant to be an advanced one, but that's as easy as it is, just going onto Stream Elements, grabbing whatever one is there. I will leave a link to this exact one in the description below, but that's as easy as it was to add the animated one. And then from here, you're just going to be able to change it whenever you want. You can just, there's your Christmas, there's just your red not animated one. There's none. There's a scene set up for your camera that's going to be very universal for you to update, change. Now, it might be a little bit different if you didn't do the 16:9 ratio and did like more of a 4:3 square. It's just going to be the same thing, but with square items in here. So it's just going to be as easy as just adding these things in a different shape. If it's 1920 by 1080, make sure that you added whatever it is, 16:9. Or whatever aspect ratio you use, and then just make it a little bit bigger. But I found this here super easy to do, and then you can just turn them on and turn them off as you please. I find that super simple. I hope this here helped you out. If you think I forgot or left something out, definitely leave it in the comments below. And if you like or found the video helpful, hit the thumbs up and get subscribed for more content. Thanks for watching. Bye!